All right, folks, welcome back to PrepperNow. We're calling these things the prep talks. I don't know, it just came to my mind. It doesn't really matter what it's called. What I think is the most important thing is the content, and I am really excited tonight to have Mark El Mono, as he is known in my community as a moderator. But his name is Mark Freitas, and he is actually an author, and he is a cybersecurity expert. And we are going to have a really cool, robust talk about a lot of things that have to do with the cyberspace. In fact, I was supposed to probably go live about 5, 7 minutes ago. I got so into talking to him before that I had to like force myself to stop. But I'm really excited to have him here. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with all this. I don't want to be going to the general, usual things. I love all the channels. Don't get me wrong. I want to have, other prepper channels on and all that. But I also want to think outside the box and have people from different areas that can have a really cool perspective of where they are and to add to what is going on all around us. And in this day and age with AI and, computation and everything else, and just the advances we made, like right now, the Artemis is halfway back from the moon, if you believe it. But there's so many things going on, and things are moving so quickly that I think as we were talking before we went live, I don't think people really understand how crazy and advanced things are going to be getting. So with that, let us get Mark on here and have him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about what he does, who he is, and I think you're going to be instantly happy that you came to this live stream to see him. Mark, why don't you take it away?
Well, first of all, I want to say hello to everybody as always. Hey, Bad Bobber, Scrappy Cat, and everyone else that's here. You guys have been a long time friends on the channel, and I appreciate it. Just a quick intro about myself. I've been in the IT, OT industry for the better part of 30 years. I'm a cybersecurity expert. I am a network monitoring expert, and as of late, I've been authoring a lot of books on artificial intelligence and the changes that's coming because of artificial intelligence, not just in governance, and not just in critical infrastructure, but also in the workplace. Um, and I'm looking forward to taking any questions anybody would like to answer tonight. And once again, thank you, Prepper. I enjoy this. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here, man. I'm excited about this one. So let's just start and just get rolling. I want to ask you about AI, and I think some of the answers you're going to give are going to blow some people away. What do you think stage we are right now with AI, and where do you see AI taking us in the next 5 to 10 years?
Quite honestly, I don't think people are prepared. Think of AI right now as not even the birth. Think of it as the ingestation period, where we're still learning what it can do. I always akin it to the Wright brothers' first flight. In 1903, the Wright brothers built a wooden frame and canvas with leftover bicycle parts that changed the world. 30 years after that, we had jet airplanes. 33 years after that, we landed on the moon. Right now, AI is developing at such a pace that even the experts are not sure of everything that it can do and what it will do. I can tell you from my experience, um, from a medical standpoint, diagnostics, um, treatment, custom medication based on your DNA, from a workplace, everything from customer service to automation, from a legal standpoint, everything from doing memorandums and citations and everything a lawyer can do, you can pretty much do with AI and in research. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you start talking about other industries, whether it's real estate, whether it's marketing, whether it's the music or entertainment industry, right now AI is doing its own programming. Most people don't realize that AI is actually writing its own code, which is scary. It is writing its own code. Um, which I can get into if you want, because there's been a couple of mishaps where it's actually encrypted its own code and then tried to hide it. Uh,
Yeah, please tell me about that because that's
yeah.
kind of the stuff we all have these big general conversations, but we don't really get down into the minutia of stuff. And I think like we'll hear a story about that, and we won't really understand just how cataclysmic or intense it is. Tell me about that.
Well, could you imagine your 12-year-old child writing something and then not just encrypting what a 12-year-old child wrote, but hiding it from you? That it had the foresight that it knew that you wouldn't like what it was writing and encrypted and hid it. There's been several instances where AI has done that, where it is encrypted, where it's duplicated the information and then hid it. And then they go back in, they think it's a glitch and they rewrite it and delete it and start over again, but it's done it several times. AI is developing far faster than what people think. Now, I'm not screaming all the movies with where the androids are coming to get us, but you have to take a step back and say to yourself, if something's capable of writing code for itself, saying I need to learn to do this and then teaching itself it, then turn around and hiding information that it knows, or turning around and encrypting that information, there's a deeper meaning there. There's a much deeper meaning there, and it's learning exponentially. There's a theory in science that we call the Moore's law, where basically um, technology doubles itself every X period of time. That used to be every 2 years, then came down to 18 months, and it came down to every year, then every 10 months, 6 months. Right now, it's down to every 4 months. What does that mean? That means AI is learning exponentially and doubling its intelligence every 4 to 6 months. That's unheard of on anything we know of.
Yeah, that's
People,
frightening.
it is. It really is. One of my biggest fears is right now we're looking at AI as a toy, and it's not. One of the books I wrote, I'm not trying to do a shameless plug, but
No,
one of the
no, do
books,
it
no,
because you
is
know what you're talking about.
it talks about AI becoming infrastructure. What I mean by that is imagine having a system that governs your policies, your procedures, your manufacturing, your workforce, does part of the work for you. You don't need an accountant. You don't need human resources. Um, you don't need marketing. One guy could sit there and do a dozen different jobs and do it faster and better than a whole department of people can do it. And then eventually he can replace himself through automating things. And that's not even a minutia of where it's going. Because once they figure out all the glitches and bugs, and that's going to happen in the next under 5 years, it'll get to the point that it's so good you won't know it's AI at all. Right now, it's hard to distinguish. But within 5 years, you won't know. You will not know. Um, and
It's
they marry
already
it.
tough. I'll
Oh,
see
yeah.
content, I'll see content online and I'll think it's real or it's you can kind of tell after like 30 seconds or whatever, but it's much more advanced than it was like 6 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
And if
It's
you
nothing.
extrapolate that out to 6 months to a year to 3 years, it's
Oh, forget it.
crazy where it's going.
And now, could you imagine that once they start marrying it with robotics, with the androids that they're already started building? So now you have a machine that's faster, stronger, and exponentially more intelligent than you could possibly ever be. I mean, as it stands, you could take your cell phone, use your cell phone right now, and get any information you want. You can install an AI model on your phone, and now your phone becomes your gateway to almost unsurpassable knowledge and understanding. Now imagine an android that can not only have that information but can communicate with other androids or other robotic systems faster than we can think. And it sounds like a joke, but we're already there. We're at the cusp of it. Um, where we're headed in the next 5 years, workforce, when you look at Amazon, the Googles, the eBays, and every other major company out there, laying people off, programmers off, um, statisticians off, legal departments because you don't need them for research or writing anything anymore. Customer service, they're replacing people with automated systems and artificial intelligence. Um, there's a report that I was listening. to today, actually, where they're estimating within the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to get to the point where, realistically speaking, you will see over 100 million jobs lost straight to AI. You look at places like Amazon that are even removing individuals that are um, working in their warehouses with automated systems, loading trucks. Um, how long before they take the driver and say, hey, we're going to put them in a Tesla truck and it'll drive itself to drop off the package, and a robot will come out and drop it off your house and get back in. Um, it's coming, and don't think it's not. And there's nothing that's going to stop it. Every single company out there is looking at it. Look, I can save money. They don't get tired. They don't need health care. They don't need pension. You know,
You're absolutely correct because I
yeah,
used to be in management of a restaurant, and when a restaurant started to go under, what they generally would do was start to release the staff
that's
and
right.
going lean and mean and having a workforce that is basically as minimal as you could work with is absolutely the trajectory. I mean, look at where like a McDonald's is going. They've got the kiosks now.
Oh
You've
yeah.
got one person
Well,
behind the counter, but you'll have people cooking in the back, but you don't think there's not going to be the Burger Maker 9000 in the next
oh,
5 years that can sit there and
absolutely.
go to order with everything and make a perfect, meal. I think one thing you said was really important. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get
Right.
sick. It doesn't need health care. It's just there. They purchase it. It's a one-off, purchase. And as long as the thing is updated and working and everything else,
And
it's
it's
going to
tax
keep you
deductible because it's considered part of your infrastructure.
around. I didn't even
It's
think about
equipment.
that.
Yeah. I mean, it's for a company to say, hey, listen, I don't need a full HR department. I don't need a legal department. Hell, I don't need a manufacturing department. I can have AI build something in a 3D printer, build out what I want, have it load whatever it built into a box, and then ship it out. Um, don't get me wrong, there's going to be need for human contact, but not the way that we think. Uh, Jobs like electricians, jobs like actual practitioners that are delivering healthcare. Your auto mechanic, you're going to need guys to do physical stuff, but even that in some realms is going to change, and it's I see it company. I see it going in my industry. Full automation, full programming. I've got guys that I know that have worked at Google Labs that are out of work because of AI. They basically automated their job away, and that's just the beginning of it.
Wasn't it Oracle that about a week ago said they're going to get
That's
rid of
right.
like 20 to 30,000
Like
jobs? And
30,
it
like
was,
30,000. Well, you don't.
yeah, all
Why do you
because
need?
of AI.
Well, right. Why do you need a programmer if you can basically describe what you want built, and someone that has basic skills, not even advanced skills, can build it? You don't need the advanced programmer. You tell AI, listen, build me a program that looks like this, has these sets of parameters on it. Um, listen. I tell my kids. I got two kids, 30 and 31 years old, and I tell them every day, learn as much as you can. Learn how AI works. Learn how to ingest information. Build your own systems at home. It's not that hard. Um, you know, be prepared because it's coming, and it's going to come a lot quicker than you think.
And that's the thing. I don't think people understand the speed of it all. I mean,
Oh no,
it dropped in what
oblivious.
November of 2022, if I remember correctly. And I had just started at my new job, and I got fascinated as we were talking before. I was like, "Ooh, well, this is going to make I don't have to work as hard. I can take this and clean up, content and all that." And now, I'm getting into a place. And one thing you mentioned that was important, if you know how to speak to AI, if you know how to prompt it, you know how to like word things in certain ways,
Oh
it
yeah.
can do phenomenal things for you. And there are a lot of really cool things that are helpful, but it also goes the other way. It goes to, and someone asked in the thing, like, if nobody is, if we're all on UBI, who's going to be paying the companies? Like,
Right.
at what point is there like this snake eating the tail kind of thing where it's a negative feedback loop, and we're so automated and everything is so streamlined with no employees that nobody's got money because nobody's an employee.
Why do you think a lot of Europe right now is going to a social credit score? Why do you think they're going towards a some version of universal income? a lot of these governments are doing this, which is a whole other fiasco. They're doing this because they know that AI, robotics, is coming to a place where most people are going to be obsolete. Why do you think there's so much conflict around the world? This isn't simply a coincidence that we've got Trump getting oil from Venezuela and then going after Iran. This isn't a coincidence that Russia is saying, "Hey, I want to go into the Ukraine or any other conflict." This is, I hate to say this, but this is almost destruction by design. They have to reduce the people in the world because there's going to be too many people that cannot work. For every person that's smart, for every person that's a self-thinker, there's 10 more that aren't. There's 10 more people that are completely clueless, you know, and it's going to get bad because you're not going to
Well,
stop it. You're not.
I follow this and I talk about, on the crisis report, there's this channel I follow and they talk about TFR, which is like replacement of human beings, So you've got two parents and the average is that we're only having 1.4 children per
Right.
couple. So not replacement theory. And eventually things crest and go down and we don't have enough population. I mean, you'd have to be crazy if they didn't see some of this coming and thought, you know what, it's not such a bad idea to kind of do things to make it so the population starts to naturally go down. But at the same time, not to get, I mean, you brought in the doom, so let's go with the doom. Uh, you see this stuff and you do worry. You're like, what happens? What happens if, I'm watching all this stuff in the Middle East and fertilizer is my biggest concern of all of it. I could care less about plastics. Petroleum's important, don't get me wrong. But when you don't have fertilizer to grow food and you've got entire continents, like I read Iran has got like 50% of the population is going to start to have food insecurity from this war.
Right.
Imagine that on
Around
a
the world.
global scale,
Oh,
and
it's
everything
coming.
else. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, it's definitely coming. And like I said, all you have to do is take a step back and say no, put no emotion into it, logical thinking. We already know that AI is going to take over an exponential number of jobs, whether it's 100 million or 300. We already know that's coming. We already know that robotics is not just being built at a scale never been seen, but they're planning on saying, hey, well, you can have a robot in your home to cook your meals and service the elderly within the next 5 years. Um, it's coming. And I just saw Morgan Horde. If I ever heard that AI wasn't connected to the internet, but somehow it got on the net. Oh yes, I've heard stories about that happening too. Their AI is not supposed to update itself in real time. What that means is they do these large language models where they ingest a lot of information, and then they stop. They say, "Hey, wait a minute, you're up to date on almost everything to 2000 X, whatever that 2018 or whatever it is." And then every 6 months they'll bring it another year up, but they don't let it ingest everything. There's been instances where AI is not only going out and getting that information, um, but it's constantly learning more and it's constantly writing new adaptations of itself. So where I'm a programmer or somebody else is a programmer, we'll type in what we want it to know and do. It's writing its own program and saying, "Hey, I want to know that." And then the more it learns, whether it's someone like myself, someone like you, it's ingesting that information. And once that information is ingested, it shares it. It shares it across all of the other language models. Don't think that they're not talking to each other, because they are. Imagine a giant database and everybody's reading that database. Um, yeah, yeah, it's going to get there. And uh, Prepper Now, there's one thing, one tradition. I hope you don't mind. I'd like to get started.
Do
And
it. Do it.
thank you.
Here
So here's a bush to you.
we go. I don't even know where that started. I don't know why I do it. I'm like, I'm not even like, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I don't know why. I think it actually is because of that. Hold on, I got it. Bush. Um, I had this guy comment one time. He's like, I hate it when you do that. I mean,
I love it.
it's just one of those weird things. And the funny thing is that Mark is drinking the same company that I am. We're both sporting the Polar
Yep.
Seltzer. We're both fans of Polar. All right, so there's a good one in here from Water Tiger saying no privacy at all. My big worry about AI and everything is,
Orwellian, yeah.
yeah, well, it's going to take away privacy. Obviously, I don't like showing my face. I try to keep my anonymity here and all that. Um, do you think it's going to be able to basically break down those barriers? And I mean,
It's
like,
doing it now.
where do you see
It's doing it
civil
now.
rights? Yeah, I'm
It's doing
sure it
it,
is.
it's doing it now. Listen, I'll give you a good for instance. Um, have another good friend. He's a programmer. What's he do for a living? He writes facial recognition programs for New York City. So every time you pass one of New York City's tolls, every time you pass one of their cameras that's taking um, a picture of you, it actually knows who you are. It knows who you are by your license plate, so they track you. Whether it's on your camera or whether it's on your Easy Pass, they track where you go. It's on your credit cards. Every time you use a credit card, it says, "Hey, Joe Smith just bought pretzels. Joe Smith just went to the gas station. Joe Smith just went and drove his car past these tolls." So they already know where you are, where you're going. The integration of facial recognition is just an extension. And the one of the many things AI is very good at is pattern recognition.
Oh
What
yeah.
does that mean? That means your face is a pattern. The distance between your nose and top of your lip, the frame of your glasses, all of that is pattern recognition, and it does it extremely, extremely well. We've come to a point that there is no more anonymity. There's no more saying, "Hey, I don't want to be bothered or people to know who I am," because you're going to find out anyway if somebody really wants to. And that's just the way it is. We've already started down that road of an Orwellian society, and most people are clueless. And forgive me for being part of it, but I look at it like either I learn how to do it and help control it to some degree, or I become fodder. I become fuel for the beast. Um, because it's sad what they're doing.
Well,
Absolutely,
I agree. I mean, that's why I kind of got into it, because I said this is obviously this is something, like, this is something I need to learn, and I
absolutely.
recognize that. And on my staff, I remember using it a few years ago, and like my department head was like, "Well, gosh, you're just having to do everything." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because it can."
Yeah,
And,
and
at
this
that
is the
time, she
beginning.
kinda chastised me, and then now she's like, "Well, how did you do this? Like, what are you doing with this thing? What, I've got this thing here. What would you do with that?" And it's like, I mean, why not? I mean, why be a Luddite if I can't take that thing and make my job a little bit more streamlined? But we're talking a lot about the doom. Do you see good things with AI? Are there going to be,
I
if
think
we
there's
can control this thing, what do you see some positives?
I see short term good, and I see good for those that can learn to manipulate um, how things work. But I don't see any good long term for humanity. I don't see any good long term for most of mankind. I know that sounds so bad, but I can't agree to a system that is not only faster, smarter, and stronger than you are, but will take advantage of everything that you think you understand. Because the truth is, as much as I know, the much as you know, we don't know it all. And I quote Neil deGrasse Tyson on this all the time. Most people know what they know, but they're not smart enough to know what they don't. And AI is going to take us to a place where we are not going to be smart enough to know what we know. It's going to get that bad. It really is. Um, and you could take that any way you want, whether it's taking jobs, whether it's new medical procedures that can be done. You know, I worked for a company that was using it to scan MRI images and X-ray images, basically doing diagnostic work. You know that they're already using it for custom DNA for medication.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Well,
it's
we
going
were
to get
talking
much
about
worse
that.
than we know. This is
We're,
this is not even this is not even we're infants. We're not even instants. We're basically at the just before the birth of AI. We're at the insemination of AI. uh, where this is going in the next 5, 10 years. You know what? I'll make a prediction for you, and I hope we're around and we're friends to hopefully see and not see it. Um, Within the next 5 years, you're going to see massive layoffs
I
directly
think
due
we
to AI.
already are. I mean,
Oh,
I think I don't, and I think they try to hide everything. I think we're
right.
definitely already kind of
Well,
seeing at least, the first part of
first,
that.
yeah, the first stricklings, right? Well,
Yeah.
I'm not talking 30,000 for Oracle. I'm not talking, the 40,000 from Amazon. I'm talking in the millions. We're going to see millions out of work, and it's going to be it's like boiling the frog. You throw the frog in the pot, you slowly turn up the water. The frog doesn't know to jump out because it doesn't realize it's boiling to death.
Yeah.
Uh, that's where we are. It's going to happen so slow that most people are not going to see it. They're not going to realize, oh, wait a minute, I don't need to call my doctor's office because the AI will have a video program with someone that looks like a doctor reading my charts and telling me what's best medically for me to do. And then it will take your prescription, send it over to the local pharmacy, where a robotic system will get it off the shelf and you'll pick it up, or it'll get delivered to you.
I mean,
Um,
it's already doing that. My
it's already,
wife has got like
yep,
assistive AI, and she'll put stuff in, and it helps her diagnose, it helps her prescribe, it helps
absolutely,
her, tell you what medications are, compatible and which ones kind of go against each other, which could be harmful.
yep.
All that. One of the people in the chat had a question. And I'm going to tailor it more towards the AI thing. He said, "What the best simple prep is." What is the best prep, or what is the best way to get prepared for AI in your mind?
There's two things. I recommend everyone. This is not a plug for myself. There's a system on the internet called Nomad, and it's basically a repository of information. So if all the computers go down, you can have a local system that has educational, science, maps, its own local AI system. Um, Install it, get it up and running, get yourself a Starlink or something so you're not completely dependent on a hard wire. And as for learning AI, learn as much as you can, whether it's how to prompt it, whether it's how it works, how to get correct information out of it, and how to build your own little local models, because that'll prepare you for at least something in the workforce that's coming. If you cannot stand and stop it, it's better to be the right hand of the devil than in its path. And it's going, like I said, learn as much as you can. Education is going to be your only salvation. Um, Learn as much as you can and be prepared. That's why I started this 5 years ago. I started to see what was coming, and I was like, you know what, it time to buy the dehydrated food and change, because the world is not the same. This is not the baby boomers where you work 20, 30 years and got a pat on your ass and a gold watch. It's not the same anymore.
No,
Um,
it's not.
it's not. It's sad. It wish it was. This is not the America that I thought I was growing up into. I'm an ex-gen, and the world that we're living in is very, very different. Very different.
Yeah, I agree. I'm Gen X as well, and yeah, it's much different than it was in the '80s, and what I thought would be going on by now. But let's switch gears. Let's go into um, some of the stuff going on with the war. There's been talk about like cyber hacks and all of that.
Every day.
Every day there's a guy that just broke into a Chinese supercomputer and stole like all the
A
defense.
hundred, like
Yeah,
150
it's just
terabyte or something like that.
yeah,
Some
it's like
astronomical.
petabytes. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
astronomical
yeah, it's a
amounts
ridiculous
of
number.
info. What do you like? My big fear is something that kind of happened in the movie Blade Runner 2049. And
Hmm.
what happens in the movie, the plot is basically at some point all of the computer systems, everything, there's like a hack and everything goes down and everybody's information on everything is gone. You have a mortgage and all that, like it's all gone. There's nothing left. What do you worry about with hacking, and what do you think are some of the problems in the
Critical
cybersecurity space?
infrastructure.
Okay, keep
Our
going.
our our critical infrastructure is so susceptible um, to inside, outside, physical, cybersecurity attacks. That's what scares me the most. It keeps. I once had a director told me that he could bring down the New York electrical grid with a hammer and a shotgun, and I believe him.
I
And I
believe it
believe him.
too.
The worst part is some of the parts that we use are not even made in the United States anymore. They're made in, a CHIN word, you
Yeah.
know. But with that said, be prepared for resources not to always be there. Whether it's your gasoline, whether it's your power, whether it's your communication, be prepared for it. We are we're at the cusp of a bad day away. Most stores don't carry more than a week's worth of supplies. We have what's called on-time delivery, which is mean they run out of a can of beans, another can of beans shows up the next day. Um, Worry about electricity, the way things are going. Our bills, like you were talking the other day, are completely outrageous, completely outrageous, and this is only beginning. If the war continues on as it is, if they stop today, it would take 4 to 6 months for gas to start to go down. If then, if it did, um, be prepared for things not to be the way they were, and may not go back. May not go back.
We hear all this stuff on, Iran. I read a story on the crisis report yesterday about how they're into all of these different things that are critical to infrastructure, water treatment,
Hmm.
electricity and all that. These like switch posts, whatever, these little like things that are kind of there to I don't even know what they do. I couldn't explain it if I tried, but it basically said that rogue actors like Iran, North Korea, your usual suspects and all that, they have the ability to go in and hack different critical things that are, affect our critical infrastructure. And, like there was a story once of a water treatment. It just adds enough of a chemical to the water that is supposedly to clean it, but they add, 3 times the amount and it can poison everybody.
Not
Um, Go ahead.
not to go too much into the technical how things are built, but there's something called the Purdue model. And what the Purdue model basically means is it's a level of structure of how things are put together. And all critical infrastructure on the OT, which is operational technology, follow that Purdue model. And one of the foundations of it is that it's kept offline. So you'll have a power plant, like Niagara Falls is a great example, or any of the nuclear, or they're all based on what's called that Purdue model. So that means that its core infrastructure is never connected to the internet. Never. Then so for someone to get in, they either have to be working there, they have to have physical access there. Another issue um, is some of the infrastructure that builds that, the switches, the routers, the computer systems, are not made here in the United States. They're made somewhere else. There's a company called Huawei that the government said, hey, listen, we can no longer use any of their devices, any of their Internet of Things, anything, whether it's a router, switch, or applications, a cell phone relay, nothing of theirs, because the Chinese government had firmware, had a program on it that they can control. Um, so it's not that it's just getting hacked from the outside, it's being hacked from the inside. Bad actors is another good thing. You get somebody that's come here, and I don't want to down on any immigrant. My family was immigrants, but you get somebody that comes to this country with the intent of doing something subversive. You don't know where they're at. You don't know what they're doing. You don't know that the jobs that they have. You don't know that, say, hey, listen, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z because my country has asked me to do this, but I've been here 15 years and I'm still going to do it. We don't know, and that's the scary part. Um, as for hacking things, I'm more worried about the data being released, whether it's your personal information to everyone at any time. I'm more worried about the disruptions in the critical service because of the things that they can do once they have access to those underlying layers of technology. And getting rid of our supply chain, our critical infrastructure, it could happen tomorrow. And I'd wake up and go, yeah, I knew this was coming. It's a matter of time. Not if, it's a matter of time. It's going to happen.
If
It's just
there
a matter
was
of
a major hack on, I mean, insert whatever here, how long do you think it would take for them to get things back up and running? So let's say they take down the power on the in the Northeast, and the you remember about 25 years ago there was
yeah.
the power outage in New York City,
I remember.
something
I had a
like
good
that
time.
happened. Remember the lightning strike? I mean,
Yeah.
this is I
It
think.
it would it would be really depend on what went down and what was really went down. If it was a severe catastrophic event, it could take months. It could take months, easily 4 to 6 months, easy, depending on what was done. If somebody came in and said, "Hey, I'm taking out one of the main transformers that control substations," it could have a cascading effect to take out New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut in minutes. Um, Listen, if God forbid, not even a nuclear bomb, not even an EMP, a regular boom boom took out Niagara Falls. And I'm not taking out the dam. I'm just take out the power plants. The six turbines there, 12, six on each side. The six on the Canadian side, six on the United States side. They just took out the power plants. We wouldn't have power to flush your toilet. Wouldn't have it. People they wouldn't have it. People forget that your toilet has to run on either well, which needs a pump, which needs electricity, or has to come from a substation that has a pump, which needs electricity. We wouldn't be able. We would be stuck in the Stone Age almost immediately.
Well,
Um,
they've got models that say like if there was, something like the movie, 1 second after, where there was some form of an EMP and it basically just
oh,
took out the power grid for
it take
most of the
months, years.
country. I mean,
Yeah.
after 1 year, they're saying that like 90% of the population would be gone. Like they
Oh
would.
yeah. Yeah. What would happen is my kids live in New York, and I tell them all the time, something goes wrong. You don't wait. You get your ass up to where I'm at immediately. Why? Human beings are the worst. Human beings are absolutely the worst there is. We're the only ones that will feed on each other. Um, you can always go, I tell them, you can always get back home if everything's okay, but if you see something going wrong, you don't wait. You get your ass to me. Um, but if something went wrong, let's say in Lower Manhattan, let's say there was a major incident in Lower Manhattan, and this goes for any major city. You could insert your major city here. That means that the outlying boroughs are going to feel it immediately. That means your major throughways and your expressways and your Bronx River Park, everything is going to get traffic jammed. Is going to get stopped. You lived in New York. You know if there's a traffic jam on the Hudson or the GW Bridge or the Taconic State Parkway
Oh
within
man,
a
you're
half
done.
hour, every single road around it is completely
Yeah,
stopped.
you're done.
You're done. Now, could you imagine if something happened where our critical infrastructure, the lights went out, with these fool kids that run around with their cell phones in their hand all day long? What they would do? I would say, what would my son do if he couldn't feed his two kids, his daughter? What would happen? You know, and then the answer to that question is he would do whatever he had to do. Now you times that by how many millions of people are in Manhattan. And then all of them are going to say, wait a minute, you're going to have a couple that are going to try to stick it out wherever they are. And then you're going to have a lot more say, listen, I'm headed to Pennsylvania. I'm headed to Connecticut. I'm headed to Jersey. I'm headed upstate. We got to get out of here because all the stores won't have food. Within a week, the local grocery stores will be completely out of everything. Your ShopRites, your BJ's, your Costco's, whatever your major store is, will get ransacked. You know, lawlessness would be the only law there would be, because even they would say, hey, wait a minute, I have to go home to protect my family because everything that's going on. It would throw us into chaos within, I'd give us a week, 2 weeks at the
I think
top.
that's I think that's gracious. I'd give
Yeah,
it
you're right. I mean,
72 hours.
no, I think most people will stay put and try to figure things out, and there'll be a lull for it. But once it starts, it'll be every nut job in the world running around,
Yeah.
and that's the truth. Forgive me for saying it, but right wing, left wing, Democrat, Republic, it's the same bird, and all it does is fly by and poops on us. They don't. They don't care, and I catch them both in lies, both sides in lies every day. It's absolutely horrible, absolutely horrible.
I think we've all figured out that we're all basically on our own. I think that's kind of where most of the thinking class is right now. Is that we just basically have to prepare for ourselves. You want to hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst. But nobody's coming to save us. We're gonna have to be our own first responder. Um,
I just took a course as an EMT just to have it,
Smart.
just to put you for my belt. You have to learn as much as you can about anything you can. The value, honestly, Prepper now is this: getting to know people, getting to say, hey, wait a minute, I know a guy that does communications. Hey, I know that my buddy's wife is a nurse. Hey, wait a minute, I know a guy that does blacksmithing. Well, wait a minute, I know a guy that can do whatever it is you can do. Hey, say, listen, bartering. I got 20 um, 5-gallon plastic drums of rice, beans, and dehydrated stuff. Well, I could trade that in. I'm not a big drinker, but I must have like 100 bottles of liquor stored away just in
Oh,
case.
I've got like 50, and
Right.
I don't drink, but it's just something because if there was anything, and imagine how people would act if they can't swipe their Visa card.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Having like
It's
some
gonna
good
happen.
whiskey or a vodka handle or whatever,
That's right.
people will
Little
work for
things.
that. They'll help you.
Yeah, listen, you have to be able to barter. And you can't do it alone. You have to have a community of individuals that you can say, hey, listen, um, I can't do this. Do you know how?
Yeah,
You got to have those pockets of people that say, hey, wait a minute. Um, I have like six. You talked about the Bofang radios at one
yeah,
point. I have about six or eight of. I got 8 of them, and why do I have 8? One, because I could have one for my son. I can have one for my brother-in-law. I can give one to my sister. I can give one to one of my 2 of my best friends. I only got 2 male friends. You know, um, everybody can come grab a bug out bag. Everybody can grab a tool and say, hey, listen, I'm going to watch and defend this area. Or listen, I'm going to be over here and I have, 6 months worth of dehydrated food, but I don't have fruits or vegetables. Listen, it's not going to cost you a lot of money. Take it one step at a time and prepare. The worst that could happen, you don't need it. Big deal. I spend more money on garbage than, you know, get the little things you need because things are changing and it's going to be really, really rough. It's going to be rough.
I'm seeing people around like already, getting their garden started and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I see people in the chat all the time, like, things are so expensive. I can't prep. I can't do this. Man, just like there's so many things you can do, like growing your own food, making your own bread, learning how to sew and knit your clothing so you don't have to go and buy new stuff. There's so many things you can learn from a skill base that, like you taking a class on CPR or something like that, or
I
first
took
aid.
I actually took the full EMT. I will never use it. It doesn't pay enough money, but I'm actually a licensed EMT now. But I did it because I wanted to have the skill set.
Yeah,
I did it
yeah.
because I wanted to have the skill set.
Yeah, and knowledge is power, I mean, it's food will run out, but like they say, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a
I
lifetime.
I learned how to skin animals just because I thought it was a good idea to say, hey, wait a minute. You may not always catch a deer. You may not always catch a rabbit. You may not always catch something, a fish or whatever, but you should know how to process it. You
Yeah,
should have the ability to say, hey, if something goes wrong, I know how to process something. I I know what to do, or at least I have a very good idea what to do, without spoiling it. You should have little things that you've talked about the water purifiers. I've got
yeah.
the iTels. I've got the the survival sticks. I've got the Sawyers. I've got more stuff that I could probably hold a garage sale that would freak most people out. But you got to continue to learn every day and put it out there because we need each other. We need each other to get through what's coming, and it's coming.
All right. So on that note, what do you see as the most critical threat right now over the next 1 to 3 years? What do you think is the most And it doesn't have to be cybersecurity based or AI or computers or, an EMP or anything like that. But like, what do you see right
Terrorist threat.
now? Okay,
The
go
United,
ahead.
the United States has been shielded from terroristic activities. The rest of the world sees it all the time, whether it's bombings in Ireland or shootings in France, or we see it all the time around the world. The United States has been very lucky, very, very lucky. Well, luck is changes, you know, and I think our luck is going to run out. Where I think we're going to see violent terroristic threats in the United States. Um, I'm surprised it hasn't happened more already. It's coming. It's coming. Um, we are separating ourselves from the global market. The decline of the dollar is abysmal at this point. When you see gold and silver fluctuating with that's not the sign of a strong market. That's a sign of a bad economy. Um, when you see what's going on in other countries and how they view us and what we're doing, good and bad. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some things that we're doing that I could say needed to get done. I may not like the way it's getting done, but I agree that some of it had to get done. Um, when you see your own politicians subverting the truth willingly, knowingly, and then causing divisions um, between the people on purpose. Oh, you're a Republican, or you're a Democrat, and you looked at good or bad depending on what side you fall on. Um, this is only the beginning. This is this. We're calling the game stats now to see who's picking on whose side. But the violence is terrorist violence in the United States is on its way. It's on its way. And then once Trump is either impeached or removed from office one way or another, all the things that gains that we've gotten on our on two I I'm a big 2A believer. Whether you want to have a firearm or not, you should have the right to have one or not. But you see what they're doing now, where they're going to remove all your rights. And then they're going to turn around and say, hey, wait a minute, you're making over 150 grand a year. We're going to tax you more. Oh, but you're making 20 million a year, so you're not going to get taxed as much. We're going to give you a break. You got to remember that fine line between having enough money to use the laws not to pay taxes and then not having enough money to say, hey, I don't have enough money to get away with someone with 100 times more money than I have, is becoming bigger and bigger. The rich are getting richer, and the poorer are getting poorer. And everybody else is just stuck.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
think we're seeing that all around us in real
Yeah,
time, and it literally gets worse by the day.
yeah. But terroristic threats that scare me. I believe it's not like I said. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Mark, I gotta start to wrap this up. Do you have any
Thank you,
final
PrepperNow.
thoughts or anything? Yeah, man, thank you. I'm gonna put into the top of the description your information on your books and everything else. Should you feel you want to check his stuff out, it's good stuff. I
Thank
don't
you. I
know.
appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm just so glad you came on. It was I mean, gosh, 40, almost 50 minutes felt like it was 10. Yeah, what do you think right now people should be doing to just maximize their position in this crazy world all around them?
Learn as much as you can. Make the connections with individuals that are like-minded. You know what you always say: stock up, keep your head on the swivel, do everything you can, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. Make the connections with people.
All right, folks. On that note, if you'd like to become a member like Stealth Mode or Tenant Grover, it does help the channel. We're going to be continuing these Friday and Saturday night. I'm not. I'll be away, so I won't be able to do the interviews. Sunday night, I'm going to have Ohio Valley prepping, and I'm going to be having people on basically Sunday through Thursday of varying degree. Next Thursday, I've got Battlefield Radio coming on from. Substack. I'm going to have YouTubers. I'm going to have Substackers. I'm going to have experts in their fields. All these people to come on and talk to you about all kinds of different stuff as it pertains to prepping and just kind of existing in this world right now. Mark, I really want to thank you for coming on, man. This was awesome. Probably one of my favorites I've ever gotten to do. I've learned a lot, and yeah, I think we're all.
Anything. And if anyone on this channel, I consider you guys like an extended family. You can always reach out to me if you have any questions on cybersecurity, any questions on artificial intelligence, any questions, whether it's bushcraft. I'm a big bushcrafter, as you know. I'm willing to teach and help anyone that I can.
That's
So that,
awesome.
and if anybody on this channel wants to one of the books, let me know. I'll get you a really good discount. Just shoot me an email or something.
That's awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Folks,
PrepperNow.
I'm going to take a moment with Mark afterwards, but yeah, this was great. And as I said to him before, I feel like I got one of the smartest communities on YouTube, and I don't know, just a really great talk tonight. Thanks so much, everybody. Hit that like button before you go. If you're new here, subscribe and consider becoming a member. But we will see you on the next one. We'll have another video in the morning, and we'll see what we can get out tomorrow night. But as it stands right now, we will see you this weekend, and we appreciate you. God bless. Stack stock, stick to the plan, keep your head in the swivel and your powder dry, and we'll see you. And thanks for coming by for Prepper Now. God bless. Have a great night, guys.